Well, I haven't done a garden update in a long time. It's 9:30 on a beautiful May morning, May 15th, and I thought I'd do a garden update. This is the view coming down from the barn. I just watered. It hasn't rained here in quite a while. Stuff was starting to droop. There's the gazebo. Needs some work. In the pond here I have a leak, so I've been dealing with that. Not very attractive right now. Clematis is in full bloom. Here's some vines. Most of these are volunteer. Black-eyed Susan vine. This one, however, is a cypress, red cypress, and I planted that from seed back in late March. It's come along nicely. I've been out here weeding and looking, and I see where we have a problem with some eggs right here. I'm going to get some organic soap and take care of that today. View of the hill. The flowers are starting to come in. I like these petunias because they will fill that out, hopefully. Lotus is blooming, and I'm not sure what kind of fish these are, but I found them in this tub. I can only assume that they are goldfish. Of course, there's a couple of tadpoles down there as well. I've separated them out because I thought there was a lot more in the tub, and they seem to be dying out, so I've separated these out, and hopefully have them we'll be able to get them up a little bit bigger. Cut down the climbing rose a couple weeks ago, and already these new shoots are coming back. It was getting really woody and not many flowers on it. You can see the yucca plants about ready to come into bloom. These are 4 o'clocks, and I planted these years ago, and they come back stronger every year. And in fact, they're a nuisance, and I've just pulled some of them up because they were shading out this poppy and the rest of these annuals. You can see some back there. This is a sunken bathtub. It's got a lotus plant. This lotus plant's about 8 years old now. Comes back every year. Down here is a water lily my brother gave to me 3 or 4 years ago. This is the first year it's bloomed, but it's always gets the shade of the lotus. I need to find a new home for that. I've got my pear tomatoes right there. They'll all come in ripe at the same time, so I'll make spaghetti sauce from that. Behind that are some varieties of Big Boy, Better Boy, Cherokee. Way down there by the windmill is a small little crop of cherry tomatoes. This is sweet corn coming up, planted 1 week apart, so we'll have some coming in. The watermelon here, Jubilee, will fill up this whole bed. Mixed lettuce seeds and carrots right here. This is and some spinach. This is my onion crop, looking good. Later spinach and a lettuce red fire. This is red fire too. This is supposed to be slow to bolt, but looking at it today, we've got a lot of aphids down there. So I'll need to get some insecticidal soap on that. Strawberries are coming along. This is a variety, I have no idea how to say that. But both of these strawberry beds are day neutral, meaning they're even better than the strawberries that, like Ozark, that will come and go. 2 crops. This will continue to have a crop. I weeded them out this morning. And this one is Seascape. Seascape, planted March 17th. Now, down here at the end of this bed, I think my chickens got into it. So I'm going to take some of these runners here that are just starting to come on, and I'll seed those, put those in a pot, and plant those down there so we can fill in this whole bed. Yellowneck squash is coming along. There's quite a few in there. I have not checked these for bugs, but I don't see any in there. That's good. This is a pot full of potatoes. I've got golden and red variety here. I wished I had moved it over here a little bit into the sun. It'll get quite a bit of sun right here, but it's too heavy for me to move now. I know there's a ton of potatoes in there. and when it comes time to harvest them, I'll just pull what I can out and dump the rest over. And this is a view coming into the garden from the barn. My bricks are stacked there because I use those along the air to put down plastic and things like that. There's some spiderwort here in the shade, volunteer dogwood, a American holly that was here when we moved in. It's about a foot tall then. These are my lentil roses and my lily of the valley. These have been dwindling here, so I'm going to move these in the fall and put some up here. We had this huge pine tree taken out, and my son did that. And here is an American beauty bush. I need to cut it back a little bit. This was found up in the woods. It's a native to Georgia. It's beautiful in the fall. I do want to point out this little pepper plant. It's a runt. You know how sometimes at the store you get two plants in one seed pod? Well, that's what this was. I carefully separated it because I do that instead of just cutting it out. The plant that was in with it, it's growing pretty nicely. That's going to be a dead weed that looks like it's still living. And there's the run. It's coming. It's going to make some peppers before this fall. This cool old windmill I found in my father-in-law's barn. We found in my father-in-law's barn. And after they passed away, they were selling the place. We brought it home. I've had it in the garden about 10 years. It won't spin all the time because this tomato plant's going to be growing up over it, but I think it's cool. So here's how I'm going to do with this. This is not quite ready. That was not quite ready, but this one is. What I'll do here, that's where it wants to be. So I'm going to dig a hole right there, put this little pot in, put the strawberry plant right back there, and my hope is that this pot will retain some water. So I'll do the same thing with this one. It's not quite ready. These are June bearing plants, and we've been getting a lot of strawberries from them. This bed and that bed last year were June bearing plants, and these they came over the top, but I wanted to plant this new variety in here. I'm going to plant these. We get a lot more sun now that that big tree is down, and I'm going to make a new bed here and plant these June bearing plants there. They'll be good for a couple more years, and as you can see, they're really starting to take off, but I've been waiting for them to finish blooming, and then I'll dig them up. So I just noticed while I was working on these strawberries that I have some fungus here, so I'm going to need to get a fungicide for that, or it'll take over this whole bed. Right now it's just isolated to a few plants. They must have come that way from the grower, so I'm going to nip that in the bud. One last thing on the strawberries here. I haven't put any mulch on these yet because I wanted the soil to be as warm as possible, so I left it dark. But I'm really starting to get some weeds in here, and they're starting to spread out and have runners, so it's time to get some wheat straw in here. What I'll do is I'll get my wheat straw soon, probably while I'm out getting the fungicide, and I'll put that in the chicken coop for a few days. I'll let the chickens weed through it and get all the seeds out of there, and then we'll set it out here, and it shouldn't be a problem. I had some, this is old hay that was the horses trampled on. There was quite a bit of grass growing up in here, but I just turned it over, and that's going to be a great mulch for the watermelons once they start going. So that's the update. Try to do this more often. Thanks for watching.